what would be some reasons for pushback against a real internet ID system that has your ID tied to a government account that is only displayed publicly as a numerical value? This would not connect in any way to your real ID unless you had access to the government database. I'm falling off my bed. I have a queen. Why am I on the edge? Ooh, book buyer. That's interesting. I'd be like a moth to the flame for the book symbol in the sky. Baby blue circle with a flying book. That ought to do it. She's Batgirl, only for books. Where's the book symbol so we can summon her at need? Very true, Sean. We should get like an emote like that. Oh, and put a bat on the cover of the book just to stick the image in people's minds. True. True. See, Smokey knows how to use the actual emotes, man. Look at all those emotes. We got tons of emotes on Kick. This would allow people to connect different accounts to hold said people, I guess, accountable for actions without doxing them. How else would you word this? I still want a projectile vomit emote on the Book of Faces. I mean, that's very interesting. Roach out! Roach out! So what would be some reasons for pushback against a real internet ID system that has your ID tied to a government account that is only displayed publicly as a numerical value? This would not connect in any way to your real ID unless you have access to the government database. This would allow people to connect different accounts to hold said people accountable for actions without doxing them, as well as many other things such as identifying stolen credentials, stopping spam and bots. I am sure you can come up with some other reasons as well. I guess make a pros and cons list and let's review it. Boom. Some of the food videos I see on there make me want to throw up, as do some of the fantasy flavors of different foods or drinks. Well, it's like, Sean, the main delicacy, the most popular and delicious food in the entire book is dire mite legs. Dire mites are giant spiders. And their leg meat is the most tender, amazing, delectable. It's like a mix between beef, crab, lobster, and like, yeah, it's basically like the idea of like a land crab. And yeah. But I wanted something that would gross people out and push people away, but describe it so amazingly that people would want to eat it. It's like, you know, people eat those fucked up foods and stuff. It's like most people eat those fucked up foods as like a shock factor, right? No one eats the food because it actually tastes good, right? It's like we don't drink alcohol because it tastes good. We drink alcohol because of the effect that it has, right? So this is like an absolutely disgusting food in real life that you could think of, but it's placed in this area of just divine food. Anchovy Oreos would make me vomit for sure. What the fuck, Sean? But some people would find that delicious, right? And that depends on your taste buds too. Like, I'm huge into salt, but I don't like anchovies. Just like I don't like olives. But it's like, I love salt, so I just don't know why I don't like those. I just don't. But I fucking love seafood and shrimp and like caviar and, or not caviar, calamari. I've never actually had caviar, so I can't say that I don't know that. But real internet ID system where government ID, issued ID is linked to online accounts but displayed publicly only as numerical value has potential benefits and drawbacks. Below is a list of pros and cons that list to evaluate concept pros. Accountability without doxing. System allows users to be held accountable for online actions. Reduction of spam and bots. Identification of stolen credentials. Enhanced trust in online interactions. Combating illegal activities. I would be with full-sized it would be with full-size anchovies, but they put on pizza still has the heads. Ugh. Streamlined account recovery, support for digital governance, cross-platform consistency, privacy concerns. Even with numerical IDs, users may fear government surveillance. Wait, what? Users may fear government surveillance or data leaks, especially if the database link ID is compromised. But let me ask you this, guys. That's already a reality. Any government database that has your tax information, that has your absolutely everything, someone can hack into that. There are people that have access to that could at some point in time be willing to sell that information. So even with the systems that we have in place today, this can still happen. All we are doing is saying this is the scope of what it can do now. This is the scope of what it would be able to do with Real ID. How is reducing that scope in any way bad? And how does it affect your privacy in any way that doxing doesn't? You can still get doxed. It's going to be a while until we go to the writing, book buyer. Usually writing is like the halfway point into the stream. And today's probably going to be a really long stream. Because like I have one day off. So I have like one day to go hard. So we're going to go hard. Government overreach. Centralized control of online identities could lead to abuse. But that already happens! All of these cons already happen in the real world with the things that we have. So how would incorporating data security, exclusion and vulnerability, potential for discrimination. Okay, all of your cons are things that currently happen, and if this Real ID system went into place, it would only reduce it. Could you come up with a reason how this would increase in any way the amount of abuse that already happens? I'll go see if I can find a co-author somewhere else for now. I'll pop back in like 90 minutes. Alright, sounds good, book buyer. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. Enhanced government surveillance and targeted abuse. Current state. Governments already monitor online activity to varying degrees, often using metadata or cooperation with tech platforms. Anonymity provides some protection for dissenters or whistleblowers. Increased abuse with Real ID. A centralized government database linking numerical IDs to Real IDs can enable authorization regimes, or even democratic ones with poor oversight, to more efficiently track and target individuals based on their online behavior. For example, a government could cross-reference numerical IDs with posts critical to its policies, then access the database to identify and harass, detain, or silence those users. This could amplify existing abuses like censorship or persecution of activists, as the system would make it easier to connect online actions to the real world. Okay, but again, this already happens. Why it's worse. Unlike the current fragmented system, where platforms like X or others might resist government data requests, mandatory government-run ID system centralizes control, potentially streamlining surveillance and reducing barriers to browsing power. If the government asks for your information, they get it. So, does this not just expedite the process, and is that not a good thing? We are talking about the current government of the USA, specifically. So how is this worse? And if you give examples, please say if it is a current issue we face or a new issue created solely by this system. Man, we really gotta work this one down. You're asking whether, okay, does the system just expedite government access, and is that good? Current reality. The US government, the government can access personal information through illegal mechanisms like subpoenas, court orders, or national security letters. Agencies like the FBI can request data from tech companies under laws. However, this process often involves bureaucratic hurdles, judicial oversight, expedition via real, the proposed system would streamline government access to centralizing identity in a data government-controlled database. Instead of requesting data from multiple platforms, agency could query the database to link a numerical ID to real identity. Likely the fewer legal or technical. Is expedition good? Potential benefits. Downsides. Speeding up the access could also amplify risks if oversight is weak for the system is abused. Okay, using the same systems, right? Using the exact same systems that we currently have in place that are already abused, how can this be worse in the US context? Increased surveillance and overreach. Okay. Amplified data breaches. Okay. Proliferating and discrimination. So basically what it's saying is, if someone wants to do something bad, it's just easier for them to do something bad. So I'm going to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a detriment is the system, and how much of a benefit is it? Rate each individually. See where this goes. Detriment. Ooh, reasoning. Amplified abuse. U.S. context. Why not higher? The
Cute Muffin's rated my
Cute
stream
Muffin! Welcome, welcome!
Raiders to the
The
stream.
detriment isn't a 10 because safeguards could mitigate risks if implemented well.
Well, I will be there.
10 is transformative. Rating 6. So it's, I think it's actually less beneficial. Damn! I mean, that's completely contradictory to what I think, but this is why we do this, right? It's to get other people's opinions about it. Welcome, Muffin. How's it going? I'd be interested in your take on this, Muffin, because I'm an idea person. I like presenting ideas. I'm a theoretical, like, idealist, i.e. a philosopher. I don't believe necessarily in the implementation of systems. I believe in the discussion of systems. And what we are currently discussing is what would a real online ID system. So imagine this. It's an ID system that's connected to your government ID, but the only public-facing side of it is a random numerical value that's like 21 digits long or some shit like that, right? And when it's basically like a fingerprint on the internet, right? Now let's take a step back and let's examine how a fingerprint works, right? You can take the fingerprint of basically absolutely anyone at any time with basically a piece of tape, right? It's super easy to take someone's fingerprint. But what can you actually do with that fingerprint, right? Only like the smallest, tiniest bit of people that are actually criminals or would-be criminals would be able to do something with that fingerprint, right? So that's kind of the same idea. Because first of all, let's say you don't know who the fingerprint is. You just have a fingerprint. Okay, well I can use this fingerprint for something. Well, what can I use it for? I don't know, because I don't know who it goes to, so I don't know what system it actually has access to. All I know is I have a fingerprint. Now what you would be able to do with that fingerprint is match it to any online ID. So for instance, I have my name is connected to one of my Hotmails. Then I have Intoxication. I have Relifed. I have Naughty Talks. I have Leet Itox. I have Intoxication 5077. Like I have all of these accounts, right? So if you wanted to go into a public-facing database and you could get the information of that ID and pull up all the accounts that I had on the internet that were connected to my ID. Now it would be mandatory that none of those IDs, for instance like Twitter, were connected to your legal government ID, right? So even with that, you'd only be able to match the fingerprints up, but you'd never be able to find out who the fingerprint actually belonged to. Does that make sense? And like you could never see your own fingerprint unless, well, actually, yeah, you wouldn't even know your own fingerprint. Been streaming for almost 7 hours. I didn't understand half of what you said. Not gonna lie. Fuck. How do I put this in such a simple terms? It's so hard for me. It doesn't. I'm just looking for your opinion because you're a younger guy, Muffin. So, like, because, like, this is coming from the angle, Muffin, that I believe within the next 5 years, it's going to be voted basically globally that you need real ID in order to connect to any website on the internet. Just every website is just going to require you to log in, and the only way to log in is to log in with your real ID. Okay, that's the context and premise of this. So imagine a world where you had to do that. That would fucking suck because it would put all of your personal information on the internet, right? So in order to create a workaround for that, you would just have a database that you could only access if you were a government employee with the credentials in order to access the database for like cataloging reasons for working for the government. Just like anyone can who has the access to your tax files, who has access to your banking files. Like, we give privileges to civil servants that have access to our information daily because they're the ones that are dealing with it. And we have like a suspension of disbelief that those people won't abuse the information that we've been given to them. So that's the premise of this, is the only people that would be able to abuse it are the people that would basically be able to sell your banking information. Now imagine if someone at the bank took your banking information and sold your banking information. They would go to jail for life. So it just basically doesn't happen, right? That seems unreasonable. It's like pay to win. You have to submit what you have just to use the whole web. Yes, Muffin. But what the premise of this is that it's going to be unreasonable. Unreasonable people that believe that the internet needs to be accountable for things are going to be at a majority where they vote for it and it's going to happen. That's what I think. So we're just premising this around the theory that happens, right? And let's play with that theory. Let's do some preemptive thinking, right? So what if you had a database that from the government side, they would see your real name, all of your information, all of your government information, and then some randomly generated number that's associated with you, like your driver's license number, right? Or your social insurance number, right? Because we all have these. Now, that number is randomly generated to the point that only someone inside of the database, I don't like the database, except having a list of ID codes generated, but not who it belongs to. Rather, a program that you download that will generate your ID code that you then input your online services at that fingerprint. That way, if someone accuses you of sending hate mail online, you could prove your fingerprint didn't match the sender. See, but Sean, I don't think I'm explaining this very well, because what you said is exactly what I want. But the only person who can cross-reference that is a government employee. Does that make sense? Right? Just like now, if you call up the bank and you say, I'm such and such, and they say, okay, well, what's your social insurance number? And you give them their social insurance number, and they ask, okay, well, what's the transit number on the bank? And then they're going to ask you all of that bank information. If you don't have that bank information, they're not going to let you into the account. And they're going to flag it as fraudulent. And if they get into the account and it's not you, and you find out, you flag it as fraudulent, and then they go into the database and they say, oh yeah, the money was taken out in China. Obviously that wasn't you. What I'm saying is this system already exists. So how is it a bad thing that it's connected all of a sudden to just internet activity? It's connected to your bank account, it's connected to your taxes, it's connected to your voting profile. It's connected to everything. So all I'm saying is we're taking the information that's basically aggregated on the internet that companies have, and we're putting it in a solidified box on the government side of things, like a government black box that only the government can look in. Isn't that better than having the companies have all of your fucking information and it being completely legal for them to do whatever you want with your information? That's another angle of this, is companies selling your information and your information being on the internet from somebody else and them using it in marketing without paying you. Imagine if due to Real ID, could this be a turning point? If Real ID became a thing and any company used your information in any way on the internet, you would have to get paid. Would that change your opinion towards online ID? I think that's actually a very interesting thought. And remember, this is all experimental thought process, right? Like, how far can we go through this? Like, this is how my idea of creativity is. And the other thing is, all of this can be incorporated into my book. This can all be world building on like a conscious network level. Like, this is like an innate thing that Gaia sends to people. And this could be an absolute beautiful mindset for the foundation of how instinct works. And it's like, that's the direction that I like to push this kind of stuff, right? And it's like, how far ahead can we think for it? And the main point for it is that the, how would you say this? I guess the best way to say it is just the way that it is now is so bad. I don't think people know how bad it is, and that's why I think they're like so pushbacky against it. But I just love other people's thoughts on it, because I'm like, it's like the same thing with universal basic income for me. I'm like, I just can't conceptualize why someone wouldn't want universal basic income. I can't. The only reason I can fathom it is because what they think universal basic income isn't actually what universal basic income is. Like I said, it's like a 1 meter box with a bowl of rice a day, and your bed, your toilet, and your stove are all beside each other. Like, that's like how low the bar for universal basic income is. Right? You just wouldn't have homeless people. And you wouldn't have starving people. Those are the two solutions that you get rid of with